Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My name is Terrell Lawson, and I am 34 years old. I have been writing checks for 18 months straight. Equipment deposits, lease agreements, licensing fees, medical supply contracts. For $1,300,000 of my money, turning my wife's dream into concrete and steel. That night was supposed to be the celebration. The venue was packed with people in tailored suits and glittering dresses, soft lights bouncing off glass and chrome. Investors my wife had courted, medical partners she had recruited, her parents beaming in the front row. I stood near the back of my suit, a steady hum in my chest, proud of what I thought we had built together. She walked onto the small stage, took the microphone, and thanked the architects, the contractors, her staff. Then she turned toward me with a smile I had never seen before. It was cold and practiced, and I felt the first flicker of unease. And of course, I need to acknowledge my test-run husband, she said. The room went silent so fast, it was like somebody muted the world. I felt every eye swing toward me. Someone dropped a fork. She let the silence hang, then added, "You know how you practice on the older model before you upgrade?" She laughed into the microphone. A few people laughed with her. That thin, nervous kind of laughter that sounds like it's checking the room for permission. My ears rang. "Well, he served his purpose," she continued. "Got me here. But every successful woman knows when it is time for an actual partner, not a placeholder." She pulled a cream envelope from her fitted blazer and walked it down the aisle toward me like it was part of the program. My chest felt heavy. I could not move. She handed it to me with a businesslike smile. "Divorce papers already signed on my end," she said quietly. "Thanks for the investment." She patted my shoulder like I was a vendor and walked back to the microphone. Then she turned to the crowd and started talking about her vision for the clinic, as if she had not just detonated our marriage in front of 100 people. I stood there holding the envelope, my fingers numb. Her father, Leonard Harris, stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Her mother, Patricia, had her hand over her mouth as if she could push the words back inside. My best friend, Reggie Thompson, was near the sidewall, his expression a mix of fury and disbelief. I swallowed, slid my thumb under the flap, and saw my name printed neatly on the top page. My wife's signature already sat there in blue ink near the bottom. The blood roared in my ears. I took out my phone, hand steady in a way that surprised me, and sent a message to my attorney, Michael Davis. I typed, "Need you now. Emergency." Then I texted my accountant, "Freeze everything tied to the clinic." Immediately, my body moved before my brain caught up. I walked down the aisle, stepped up to the front, and gently took the microphone from her hand. For the first time that night, she looked startled. "Quick announcement," I said, my voice echoing clearly through the speakers. "As the sole private investor in this clinic, I am immediately withdrawing all funding. Effective tonight. Good luck, everyone." A wave of noise rippled through the crowd, half gasp, half murmur. I handed the microphone back to her and walked out. Behind me, I heard her voice crack as she tried to laugh it off. "He is joking," she said. "He would not actually." The doors closed behind me, cutting her off. Outside, the cool air hit my face. I walked across the parking lot, my legs feeling both weightless and heavy. By the time I unlocked my car, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Her name flashed across the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Decline. Again. Decline. I started the engine and pulled out, breathing slowly. My mind was already working one question. How fast can you pull $4,300,000 out of a business venture when you're the only investor and the clinic has not opened its doors? I called Michael as I drove. He answered on the second ring. "Terrell, what happened?" he asked. I kept my voice even. "How fast can we pull $4,300,000 out of a business venture if I am the only investor and the business is not operational yet?" I heard him flip through mental files. "If the contracts are written like I remember, 48 hours, maybe less," he said. "Do it," I replied. "Pull everything. I want my money back in my accounts as fast as the law allows." There was a pause. "Terrell, are you okay?" he asked. "I will be," I said. I hung up and drove not to the house my wife and I shared, but to the smaller brick house I had owned before we got married, the one still and only my name. I had been staying there more often lately anyway, because she was always too busy with clinic preparations. My phone kept buzzing the entire drive. By the time I turned into my driveway, I had 12 missed calls, all from her. Inside the quiet house, I loosened my tie, poured myself a drink, and sat on the couch in the dim light of a single-floor lamp. The silence felt enormous after the noise of the event. My phone buzzed again. A text from Reggie lit up the screen. That was the most spectacular thing I have ever seen. Are you okay? I stared at the words for a long moment. Then I wrote back, I'm getting there. Another bubble popped up. Good, because she is losing her mind. Her parents are freaking out. Half the people at that event are asking what just happened. I could almost see his expression as he typed. I answered, they will figure it out. I set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. The truth was I had known something was wrong for months. The way she had pulled away. The late nights that had nothing to do with clinic prep. The phone call she took in the other room. Her voice dropping whenever I walked by. I just did not know she was going to humiliate me in front of 100 people. That was her mistake. I woke to gray morning light filtering through the blinds and the sound of my phone vibrating on the nightstand. I blinked at the screen. 67 missed calls, all from my wife. A stack of voicemails sat beneath the call log, untouched. I ignored them. My chest felt oddly light for the first time in a long time, like I'd been holding my breath for 18 months and finally exhaled. Around 8 in the morning, someone knocked on my front door. It was not the frantic pounding of an angry person, just a firm, steady knock. I checked the window. Leonard, still in the same dark suit from the night before, his shoulders slumped, his face drawn. He looked like he had not slept at all. I opened the door halfway. He cleared his throat. We need to talk, he said. No, we do not. I replied and started to close the door. He lifted his hand quickly, palm out. Please, Terrell, just 5 minutes. That is all I am asking. Something in his expression, tired, ashamed, desperate, made me pause. I stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind me. He was not coming in. Leonard shifted on his feet. You are destroying her dream, he said, his voice raw. Over what? Hurt feelings. The words stung, but not the way he meant them to. Over being humiliated in front of 100 people, I said calmly. Over being called a test run. Over having divorce papers handed to me like a parking ticket. He winced. She made a mistake, he said. She is under a lot of stress. She has been working around the clock. She is not thinking clearly. I held up a hand. Stop. I put $4,300,000 into that clinic. My money, not joint savings. Mine. She thanked me by announcing our divorce and making me look like a fool in front of everyone. So yes, I'm taking my money back. Leonard's eyes filled with a mix of anger and helplessness. The equipment suppliers want payment, he said. The lease company is threatening legal action. The medical partners are pulling out. You are going to ruin her. She ruined herself, I replied. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. We refinanced our house to help with the initial costs, he said. We believed in her, Terrell. We believed this was going to change everything for her career. You're going to hurt all of us because of one bad night. That stopped me for a second. You refinance your house? I asked. How much? He swallowed. $50,000, he said quietly. We thought we were investing in family. There was a faint tremor in his hands. For the first time since the night before, I felt something that was not anger, not guilt, exactly, but an awareness of collateral damage. I am sorry about your house, I said, and I meant it. But that is between you and your daughter. She made choices last night. Choices of consequences. Leonard stared at me, searching my face for some crack in my resolve. You are really going to do this? He asked. It is already done, I said. My attorney filed the paperwork this morning. Every penny comes back to my accounts within 48 hours. Leonard's face went pale. She said you were bluffing, he whispered. I do not bluff, I said. There was nothing else to say. He stood there for a moment, shoulders sagging, then turned and walked down the steps without another word. I watched him go, feeling the odd combination of sympathy and certainty sit side by side inside my chest. Later that day, the emails began. Equipment suppliers demanding payment. The landlord for the clinic space asking about the next installment. Medical partners requesting urgent meetings. I forwarded every message to Michael with one instruction. Handle it cleanly. Nothing illegal. Just get my investment back. Around mid-afternoon, My accountant called. There is $60,000 in the clinic account from other small investors, he said. Family and friends mostly. Do you want to preserve those deposits? I answered without hesitation. Yes. They did not humiliate me, I said. They did not call me a test run. Just return my portion. They can keep theirs. Understood, he replied. Around late afternoon, Reggie showed up at my door with a cardboard carrier of coffee and a big bag of Chinese food. He did not wait to be invited in, just stepped inside and set everything on the kitchen counter. You were trending on local social media, he said, popping open containers like he lived there. Fantastic, I said dryly. How bad is it? Reggie smirked. Half the people think you are a vindictive jerk, he said. The other half think you are a legend. I am firmly on the legend side for the record. I huffed out a laugh and took a carton. He scrolled through his phone, then held it out. Patricia had posted a long message online. Heartbroken watching my daughter's dreams destroyed by a cruel man who cannot handle being left. Prayers needed, it read. I handed the phone back. Let them spin it however they want, I said. Reggie studied me. You are not going to defend yourself, he asked. Why would I? I replied. Anyone who matters knows what happened. Everyone else can think whatever they want. We ate at the small kitchen table, the kind of table I had bought when I was single and never bothered replacing. For a while we sat in comfortable silence, the clink of chopsticks the only sound. After a few minutes, Reggie set his food down. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure, I answered. Did you see this coming? He asked. I set my chopsticks down too and leaned back. The divorce? Kind of, I said. She had been distant for months. Cold. Always on her phone. Always somewhere else even when she was sitting right next to me. I figured something was happening. Reggie frowned. So why the big investment? If you had a feeling, he asked. I stared at the table for a moment. Because I wanted to be wrong, I said quietly. I wanted to believe she would remember why we got married in the first place. I thought maybe if I supported her dream, it would fix whatever broke between us. Reggie shook his head slowly. And instead, she called you a test run in front of everyone, he said. Instead, she called me a test run, I agreed. Later that evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Michael. All funds will be back in your accounts by tomorrow afternoon. Clean withdrawal. No legal issues, he wrote. I showed the message to Reggie. That was fast, he said. That is what happens when everything is documented properly, I replied. Every receipt, every transfer, every contract has my name on it. None of it was joint. My phone lit up again. A text from my wife. You are making a huge mistake. We can fix this. Call me. I stared at the words for a moment, then hit delete without responding. How many messages is that? Reggie asked. I shrugged. I stopped counting after 50, I said. He raised his coffee cup. To test runs being over, he said. I lifted mine. To actual partnerships wherever they may be, I answered. We clinked cups. Outside, I heard a car pull up. Reggie glanced toward the window and then at me. That is her, he said. Do you want me to stay? I shook my head. No, I got this, I said. He nodded, grabbed his jacket, and slipped out through the back door. I watched her walk up the driveway, heels clicking on the concrete, her shoulders rigid. She paused at the door, composed herself, and knocked. I let 10 seconds pass before opening it. She stood there in a sleek blazer and fitted dress, makeup perfect, eyes burning. We need to talk, Raina said. No, we do not, I replied. She exhaled sharply. You cannot just destroy everything I built, she said. I did not build anything, I said calmly. You built the idea. I funded it with my money, which I am now taking back. She pushed past me into the house without waiting for an invitation. I did not stop her, just closed the door behind us. 4 years of marriage, and this is how you treat me, she snapped, spinning around to face me. Her eyes were bright with anger and something that looked like panic. 4 years of marriage, and you call me a test run in front of everyone we know, I said. So yes, this is how I treat people who humiliate me. It was a joke, Raina insisted. A stupid joke that came out wrong. I was nervous. I was trying to be funny. I raised an eyebrow. You had divorce papers ready, I replied. That was not a joke. She faltered, her gaze dropping for half a second. I was angry, she said. You have been distant. You never supported my vision. I laughed once, short and humorless. I gave you $4,300,000, I said. Money is not support, she shot back. I could not help it, I actually laughed then, a low, disbelieving sound. You were standing in my house, furious that I will not fund your business anymore. And you're telling me money is not support, I said. Do you hear yourself? She folded her arms tightly across her chest. You know what I mean, she said. Emotional support. Being present. You treated this clinic like a transaction. I nodded slowly. Because that is exactly what it was, I replied. You wanted money for a business venture. I provided it. What I did not sign up for was public humiliation and divorce papers as a thank you gift. She dropped onto my couch without asking, like she still lived there. Can we just talk? She asked. An actual conversation, not you making speeches. I sighed and leaned against the wall. Fine, I said. Start with why you are here. She rubbed her temples. To fix this, she answered. To explain. To make you understand. I shook my head. I understand perfectly, I said. You wanted the clinic funded. You got to fund it. You decided you did not need me anymore. You miscalculated how quickly I could pull the money. Now you are here doing damage control. That is not fair, she snapped. Fair. I repeated. You want to talk about fair? Let us discuss how you told 50 people I was practiced before the upgrade. Let us discuss how you handed me divorce papers like I was a business expense you were writing off. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She glanced at the screen, then declined the call. Was that one of the medical partners? I asked. Or the equipment suppliers? Stop it, she said through clenched teeth. Stop what? I asked. Stop being accurate. Raina looked away, jaw tight. Your clinic does not exist without my money, I said. You knew that, which is why the timing of your little announcement was so interesting. She narrowed her eyes. What are you implying? She asked. I'm not implying anything, I said. I'm stating facts. You waited until after I had paid for everything. Until the clinic was days from opening. Until you thought the money was locked in and untouchable. Then you made your move. She stared at me for a long moment. You think I planned this? She asked quietly. I think you are smarter than you are pretending to be right now, I replied. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the street like she could see a better version of her life out there. There is someone else, she said finally, her voice soft. I did not even flinch. Finally, some truth, I said. I figured. She turned, surprise flickering across her face. You knew? She asked. I suspected, I answered. You do not go from loving wife to calling your husband to test run overnight. So who is it? She hesitated, then said, one of the medical partners. Dr. Lionel Sharp. Of course. The cosmetic surgeon she had been gushing about for months. The one who understood her vision and really saw her potential. I nodded slowly. Does he know you just torpedoed the clinic? I asked. He thinks we can find other investors, she said. He says there are always people willing to back a strong leader. Good luck with that, I replied. Word travels fast in medical circles. Nobody is going to touch a clinic where the primary investor pulled out in such a spectacular fashion. Her mouth twisted. You are enjoying this, she accused. I am not enjoying anything, I said. I am watching consequences happen. Her phone rang again, louder in the quiet room. This time she answered. Hello. Yes, no. I do not have another funding source yet. I am working on. That is not fair. We had a contract. She went silent, then hung up. The landlord is canceling the lease, she said. They said without proof of funding, they cannot hold the space. I nodded. That makes sense, I said. You do not care at all, do you? She whispered. I looked at her for a long moment. I care that I was humiliated, I said. I care that you thought you could use me and discard me. I care that you are now dealing with the natural consequences of treating people like disposable resources. She sat back down, her shoulders slumping for the first time since she arrived. I made a mistake, she said. You made several, I replied. The biggest one was thinking I would accept being called a test run and keep writing checks. She pulled out her phone and scrolled, then held it out to me. Look at this, she said. It was a text thread. Dr. Sharp telling her he was pulling out of the partnership. Too much risk now. Too much bad publicity. He is gone, she said quietly. The clinic is gone. My parents refinanced their house for nothing. And you are just standing there like none of this matters. I handed the phone back. It does not, I said. Not to me. Not anymore. She put the phone down and stared at me. How can you be so cold? She asked. I'm not cold, I answered. I'm done. There is a difference. She tried a different approach then, her voice softening, her expression shifting. "We had good years," she said. "Do you remember when we first met in that health policy seminar? When we stayed up all night talking about the future in your tiny apartment?" I did remember. I remembered her in jeans and a hoodie, laughing at my terrible jokes, drawing diagrams of her dream clinic on napkins. I remember believing every word she said. "I remember," I said. "I also remember last night when you handed me divorce papers in front of a crowd. Recent memories tend to be more vivid." "If I apologize," she began. "Stop," I said sharply. "Whatever you are about to say, stop. An apology does not refund $4,300,000. It does not undo public humiliation, and it definitely does not make me interested in funding your life anymore." She stared at me for another long moment, then stood. "You will regret this," she said. "Maybe," I replied. "But if I do, at least it will be my decision, not your calculation." She left 10 minutes later, slamming the door behind her. That evening, Michael called. "Funds transferred," he said. "You are clear. Every cent has been moved back into your accounts. The small deposits from friends and family are still in the clinic account." I allowed a slow breath. "Good," I said. "One more thing," he added. "She has hired representation. An attorney named Gordon Simmons. He has a reputation for being aggressive, but not particularly bright. This will be fine. Keep me updated," I said. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and began changing every password she might have to anything connected to my life. Bank logins, email accounts, cloud storage, even the streaming services. Not because I thought she would steal, but because I knew how messy things could get, and I was not leaving any doors unlocked. 3 days later, her parents showed up at my office. The receptionist called upstairs. "2 people claiming to be family are here," she said. "Should I send them away?" I hesitated, then said no. "Let them come up." Leonard and Patricia walked into my office looking like they had aged 10 years in 72 hours. Patricia's eyes were red. Leonard's shoulders were slumped. "Please," Patricia began, her voice trembling. "Just listen." I gestured to the chairs in front of my desk. Saturday, we lost our house," Leonard said, his voice hoarse. "The refinance was contingent on the clinic succeeding. The bank called the loan when they heard about the funding withdrawal. We have 30 days to pay back $50,000, or they will foreclose." I leaned back and folded my hands. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. Patricia's lip trembled. "Are you?" she asked. "Our daughter made a terrible mistake. A cruel, stupid mistake. But we are the ones losing everything. We are in our 60s. We cannot start over. We trusted her. We trusted you. We thought this was all one family effort." I held her eyes. "You chose to refinance your house based on our business plan," I said gently. "That was your decision. Just like my decision was to invest my money." Leonard leaned forward, desperation bleeding through his composure. "What do you want?" he asked. "An apology? Public humiliation in return? Name it. We will make her say whatever you need. Just help us save our house." I felt a hollow ache open up in my chest. I did not want anything from their daughter. I did not want revenge. I already had what I needed. Distance. I opened my desk drawer, took out my checkbook, wrote a check for $50,000, and slid it across the desk. They stared at it. "This is a loan," I said. "To you, not to her. You pay me back when you can. No interest. No timeline. Just whenever you are able." Patricia picked up the check with shaking hands. "Why would you do this?" she asked, tears slipping down her face. "Because you did not humiliate me," I said. "You did not call me a test run. You made a financial decision based on what you were told. That is not your fault." Leonard looked at me, eyes shining. "She really ruined this, did she not?" he asked. "Spectacularly," I replied. That afternoon, Michael forwarded me a 10-page letter from Attorney Simmons, full of bold fonts and dramatic language. Michael called, laughter in his voice. "This is the worst demand letter I have seen in 15 years, he said. "He is threatening to sue you for intentional business interference and emotional damages. Neither applies here. How do you want to respond?" I rubbed my temples. "Send him a basic explanation of why he is wrong," I said. "If he pushes, we will bury him in paperwork." 2 hours later, Raina posted a long emotional essay on social media about betrayal, about men who punish women for wanting independence, about vindictive exes who destroy women's dreams. Comments poured in. Half were sympathetic, calling her brave and strong. The other half shredded her. Someone had recorded her speech at the clinic event and posted it alongside her essay. The test-run husband line was going viral. Reggie texted, "She is getting destroyed," in the comments. People are not buying her victim story. I replied, "I am not surprised." Reggie sent another screenshot. One guy wrote, "Imagine calling your husband a test run, then acting shocked when he stops paying for your life," he said. It has 3,000 likes. I cannot help a small, humorless smile. The internet is efficient sometimes. I typed back. An unfamiliar number called my phone. I answered. "This is Terrell," I said. A man's voice came through, calm and professional. "This is Dr. Lionel Sharp," he said. "I think we should talk." "Interesting," I replied. "About what?" "Your wife," he said, then corrected himself. "Sorry, your ex-wife." He sounded tired. "She told me you pulled funding out of spite, that you were unstable. But I have been reading social media, and I saw the video. That is not what happened, is it?" "No," I said. "That is not what happened." He exhaled slowly. "She told me you two were already separated," he continued. "That the clinic was completely separate from the marriage. That you were just an investor who got cold feet." "She lied," I said. There was a long pause on the line. "I ended things with her this morning," Dr. Sharp said finally. "I wanted you to know that I do not get involved with liars. I should have looked closer sooner." "I appreciate the call," I said. "One more thing," he added. "The other medical partners are discussing legal action against her. She misrepresented the funding situation. Some of us put in deposits based on her assurances. We want those back." "Talk to your attorney," I said. "I'm not involved in that. My role ended when my money came back." "Understood," he replied and hung up. That evening, as I was seasoning chicken in the kitchen, someone started pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I sighed, wiped my hands, and checked the window. A man in his 30s stood outside, muscles tense, jaw clenched. I recognized him from family gatherings. Raina's brother, Tyrone. He looked furious. I opened the door halfway. "You smug fool," Tyrone said, shoving past me into the entryway before I could stop him. "Get out," I said calmly. "You humiliated my sister," he shouted. "You destroyed her business. You made her a laughingstock online. You think that is okay?" I closed the door behind him and kept my distance. "I think handing me divorce papers in front of 100 people while calling me a test run is what started this," I said. "Everything else is just consequences." He stepped closer, breath hot with anger. "She made a mistake," he said. "Then she can live with it," I replied. "Just like I am living with being publicly humiliated." He jabbed a finger at my chest. "You are hiding behind money," he said. "You are a coward who cannot handle a strong woman." I laughed once. "Strong women do not need to insult their partners to feel powerful," I said. "Strong women do not make their parents refinance their house to fund a fantasy. Your sister is not strong. She is reckless." Tyrone's eyes narrowed. "Say that again," he said. "Get out of my house," I replied. "Now." "Make me," he sneered. I pulled my phone from my pocket and dialed. I put the call on speaker. "Emergency services. What is your emergency?" The operator asked. "Someone is in my home refusing to leave," I said. "I need officers sent to my address." Tyrone's eyes went wide. "You are calling the police?" he demanded. "Yes," I said. "Because you're trespassing and threatening me. Your choice. Leave now or explain this to officers." He stared at me for a long moment, then spun around and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the wall shook. The operator asked if I was safe. I confirmed that I was and gave my information before hanging up. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from Michael. "Her lawyer wants to schedule a settlement meeting," he wrote. "Do you want to do it?" I typed back, "Sure. It should be entertaining." I did not know then that the meeting would never happen. The settlement meeting was scheduled for Friday morning. It was canceled on Thursday night. Around 9 in the evening, there was a soft, hesitant knock at my door. Not aggressive like Tyrone's, not frantic like Raina's early attempts. I checked the window. A young woman in her mid-20s stood there, shoulders hunched, hands wrapped around the strap of a tote bag. It took me a second to recognize her. Jada, the younger sister, the quiet one at family dinners who actually asked me about my work instead of only talking about hers. I opened the door. "I know you probably do not want to see anyone from the family," Jada said. "But I need to tell you something. Something nobody else will." I stepped aside. Come in, I said. Do you want coffee or water? Water is fine, she said. I handed her a glass, and we sat in the living room, a careful space of air between us on the couch. I'm not here to defend her, Jada said, staring at the glass in her hands. I am here because you deserve the truth. The whole truth. Go ahead, I said. She took a breath. My parents did not just refinance their house, she said. They emptied their retirement accounts too. $58,000 in total. They have been telling everyone it was 50 because they are embarrassed. My stomach tightened. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because she knew, Jada said. She knew they were risking everything. She told them it was guaranteed money. That you were so in love you would never pull out. That she had you completely under control. The words hit harder than I expected. Under control? I repeated. Her words, not mine, Jada said quickly. She twisted the glass in her hands. There is more. Dr. Sharp, Jada continued. They have been involved for 7 months. Since the beginning of the clinic planning. He helped her design the layout, choose equipment, shape the brand. She told me he was her actual future, and you were just funding the transition. Her phrase again, not mine. I stared at the rug. 7 months, I said slowly. 7 months while I was writing checks and believing we were building something together. Jada nodded. The divorce papers, she added. She had those ready for 3 weeks. She showed them to me and asked if I thought the timing was right. I told her she was being cruel. She said I did not understand business. I let out a slow breath. Business, I repeated. That is how she saw it, Jada said. You were a business arrangement. She got what she needed. Time to upgrade. I walked to the window and stared out at the dark street, processing. Why are you telling me this? I asked again, still facing the glass. Because she is planning to lie in the settlement, Jada said. She is going to claim you promised the money as a gift, not an investment. She is going to claim you were abusive and controlling. She is going to say she feared for her safety. I turned around slowly. What? I asked. Jada nodded. I sat. Her attorney suggested it, she said. He told her if she could prove emotional abuse, she might get a better settlement. She is going to say you isolated her from friends, controlled her finances, made her feel trapped. I felt my jaw tighten. That is completely fabricated, I said. I know, Jada replied. I was there. I saw how you treated her. You were supportive. Maybe too supportive. She looked up at me. She is going to lie under oath, Terrell. Why are you risking your relationship with your family to tell me this? I asked. Jada met my eyes. Because I'm tired of watching her destroy people and then claim she is the victim, she said. She did this to her last boyfriend too, Jada continued. Different details, same pattern. Use them, discard them, cry in public, tell everyone she was trapped. My parents think she made a mistake, but means well. They do not know how calculated this is. If I tell them, they will not believe me. She has always been the golden child. What do you get out of warning me? I asked. Jada shrugged. Nothing, she said. I will probably get cut off from the family when she finds out. But I cannot watch you walk into that meeting unprepared. You did not deserve what she did. We sat in silence for a moment. The medical partners are suing her, I said. Did you know that? I heard, Jada said. She is panicking. The clinic space is gone. Dr. Sharp will not take her calls. Her reputation in the medical community is trashed. Everything is falling apart, and she is trying to blame you for all of it. That is what she does, I said. She takes no responsibility for anything. Jada stood and set the empty glass on the coffee table. I should go, she said. I just wanted you to know what is coming. Document everything. Terrell. Save every text, every email, every witness who saw how you treated her, because she's going to try to destroy you in that hearing. I walked her to the door. Thank you, I said quietly. Genuinely. I'm sorry she did this to you too. You deserved a better sister than this. Jada smiled sadly. You were good to her, she said. Better than she deserved. Maybe one day my parents will see it. Maybe they will not. Either way, somebody needed to tell you the truth. After she left, I did not even bother checking the time. I called Michael immediately and told him everything. He was silent for a long moment. Okay, he said finally. Change of plans. We are not doing a settlement meeting. We are going straight to deposition. I want her under oath. I want every lie recorded, and then we're going to dismantle it piece by piece. How fast can we move? I asked. The divorce hearing is in 6 weeks, he said. We will be ready. Over the next few weeks, my life became a detailed audit of our marriage. I pulled bank statements, printed email chains, downloaded message histories from my phone. I made lists of witnesses who had seen how I treated her, friends who had watched me support her career, colleagues who had seen us at events, even her own relatives who had heard her brag that she could buy whatever she wanted because I would always pay. My living room turned into a small archive. 3 banker boxes sat by the sofa, neatly labeled. It was tedious and exhausting and strangely cleansing. The more I documented, the more I saw the pattern that had been there all along. When the hearing date arrived, I walked into the courthouse with Michael and those 3 boxes stacked on a cart. Raina arrived a few minutes later with Attorney Simmons and her parents. Her face went pale when she saw the boxes. Patricia glanced between us, confusion and dread flickering across her features. The judge was a woman in her 50s named Marilyn Pennington, the kind of person who radiated no-nonsense authority. She looked down at the file in front of her, then at both tables. "I have reviewed the filings," she said. "This should be straightforward except for the allegations of financial abuse and controlling behavior." She turned to Raina. "Mrs. Lawson, you are claiming your husband isolated you and controlled your access to money," she said. "Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Raina said, her voice small and tremulous. "He made me completely dependent on him." Judge Pennington looked at Michael. "Response," she asked. Michael stood. "We have documentation showing the opposite, Your Honor," he said. "Bank statements proving she had full access to joint accounts, text messages showing she made financial decisions independently, and witness statements from friends, family, and colleagues confirming she had complete autonomy." "I would like to see that," the judge said. Michael opened the first box and pulled out organized folders. The clerk brought them to the bench. For 20 minutes, the only sounds in the courtroom were the soft rustle of pages and the occasional quiet tap of the judge's pen. "Mrs. Lawson," Judge Pennington said finally, looking up, "these statements show you spent $43,000 last year on personal expenses. Vacations, shopping, spa treatments, all without restriction. Is that accurate?" Raina shifted in her seat. "He made me feel guilty about it," she said weakly. "Did he refuse any purchases?" the judge asked. "No, but," Raina began. "Did he require you to ask permission?" The judge interrupted. "Not exactly, but the dynamic. Yes or no answers, please," the judge said. "Did he ever prevent you from accessing money?" "No," Raina said. "Did he ever threaten you financially?" the judge asked. "Not in words, but yes or no," the judge repeated. "No," Raina whispered. Judge Pennington set the papers down slowly. "I'm not seeing evidence of financial abuse," the judge said. "What I am seeing is a woman who had complete financial freedom and is now claiming victim status to improve her settlement position. I do not appreciate that in my courtroom." Simmons stood quickly. "Your Honor, there is also the matter of the business investment," he said. "He destroyed her clinic out of spite." "I have reviewed that as well," Judge Pennington said, cutting him off. "The clinic was funded entirely by Mr. Lawson's personal money, not marital funds, not joint investment. His money. He had every legal right to withdraw it." Simmons tried again. "But the timing, the judge said, was after she publicly humiliated him and handed him divorce papers at a business event. I have seen the video. Frankly, I am surprised he did not withdraw the funding that same night." A faint murmur rippled through the courtroom. Raina's shoulders slumped. Michael presented more evidence. Screenshots of messages between Raina and her friends, where she called me a placeholder and a temporary solution. Messages where she bragged about having me figured out and knowing I would never actually leave. When those were read aloud, Patricia gasped softly and covered her mouth. Leonard put his head in his hands. "Mrs. Lawson," Judge Pennington said, her tone hardening, "did you tell your husband you were having a relationship with Dr. Sharp while he was investing millions in your clinic?" "It was not an affair," Raina said quickly. "We were separated. According to your own filing, you were married and living together until the night of the clinic event," the judge said. "That was 3 weeks ago. When did this relationship with Dr. Sharp begin?" There was a long, heavy silence. "Mrs. Lawson," the judge prompted. 7 months ago," Raina whispered finally. "So yes," the judge said, "you were having an affair while your husband invested millions in your clinic. Did you plan to tell him?" Raina stared at the desk. I was going after the clinic opened, and his money was locked in, she admitted. The air in the courtroom felt thicker after that. Judge Pennington closed the file in front of her with decisive finality. "Here is my ruling," she said. "This marriage is dissolved. Assets will be divided as follows. The house purchased before the marriage remains with Mr. Lawson. The $4,300,000 invested in the clinic was his personal money, not marital assets, and is not subject to division. Joint savings will be split equally. Joint debts will be split equally. No alimony will be awarded given the relatively short duration of the marriage and Mrs. Lawson's employability as a physician." Simmons jumped to his feet. "Your Honor, that leaves my client with very little," he said. "Your client left herself with very little when she committed adultery, publicly humiliated her husband, and then attempted to commit perjury in my courtroom by falsely claiming abuse," the judge replied. "She is fortunate I am being this generous. We are done here." The gavel came down with a sharp crack. Outside the courthouse, the sky was clear and bright, indifferent to everything that had just happened. Leonard and Patricia approached me near the steps. Leonard handed me an envelope. "What is this?" I asked. "The first payment on the loan," he said. $2,000. "It is all we can manage right now, but we will send more each month." I shook my head. "You do not have to," I said. "Yes, we do," he replied. "You helped us when you had no reason to. We're going to pay you back." Patricia touched my arm lightly. "I'm sorry for all of it," she said. "We raised her better than this." I did not know what happened. I looked past them for a moment, then back. "She happened," I said quietly. "Sometimes people just are who they are, no matter how they were raised." They nodded and walked away together, shoulders touching, carrying their disappointment and their envelope. Raina stood by her car alone, holding her purse in both hands like a lifeline. There was no defiance left in her posture, no smugness, just the stunned stillness of someone finally realizing that consequences are not theoretical. She stared at me across the parking lot. For a brief second, I thought she might walk over, start another speech, spin another version of events. Instead, she just watched me. I did not gloat. I did not approach her. I simply walked to my car, unlocked it, and drove home. There was nothing left to say. 3 months later, I heard through Reggie that she had taken a job at a clinic 2 states away. A fresh start, apparently. The medical partners had settled their lawsuit. She paid back their deposits from an inheritance her grandmother had left her. The clinic space we had once toured together became a yoga studio with bright murals and floor-to-ceiling windows. People went there to breathe and stretch where my money used to sit in the walls. Leonard and Patricia paid me back in full over 18 months. Every time a small envelope arrived, there was a handwritten note inside. They insisted on adding $1,000 as interest at the end, even though I told them it was not necessary. Jada and I met for coffee occasionally. We talked mostly about her job, her plans to move out on her own, the way her parents were slowly starting to see patterns they had ignored for years. She did not bring up her sister unless I did. When she finally told them the truth about the retirement accounts, about the affair, about the plan lies in court, there were screaming phone calls, slammed doors, months of silence. Eventually, Patricia called Jada sobbing and apologized for not believing her sooner. As for me, I dated a little, focused on work, and bought a dog from a rescue shelter, a big mixed-breed companion who snored loudly on the couch and followed me from room to room like I was the center of his world. There was no dramatic transformation, no glossy montage of revenge and reinvention, no triumphant speech on a stage. My life simply moved forward. I went to the gym more often. I cooked for myself instead of ordering takeout. I learned what it felt like to fall asleep without wondering who my wife was texting in the next room. Sometimes people would bring up the story at parties or in meetings, lower their voices, and say they had heard what happened. Some offered sympathy. Some offered admiration. I accepted both with the same simple response. It was a hard lesson. I learned a lot. Once, at a dinner with colleagues, someone asked me if I regretted the investment. $4,300,000 is a lot to lose on a marriage, he said. I thought about it for a while before answering. I did not lose it, I said finally. I got it back. Every penny. He nodded slowly, but I could see he thought I was dodging the question. I added, what I lost was the illusion that someone loved me who only loved what I could provide. But illusions are not worth $4,300,000. They are not worth $4. The truth is worth more than that. And I got that for free. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.